Aloha, everyone. This is Tamara McKay, Chair for the Maui County GOP, and we are excited to be here for one of our many segments to come. This is our first segment here with the Maui GOP. It's time to speak up and fight for our Constitution, our freedoms, and our country. Nothing can change that until you stop the insanity. And what is the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's time to vote for the people with courage. Stop voting for name recognition. Stop voting for people who only do things for the vote. And stop voting for those representatives who do nothing. So for our first segment here, we're very excited to have our special guest, Scott Presler. Scott Presler flew in yesterday all the way from the East Coast. And so let's just get the party started. So without further ado, let's hear a little bit about Scott, who he is, what his message is, and what he is bringing to the state of Hawaii. Aloha, Scott, and welcome.
Aloha. Thank you, Hawaii. Well, I graduated from George Mason University and studied criminal justice, graduated with honors, 3.63, beauty and brains. I'm kidding. But I couldn't find a job. You know, this was after President Obama being in office, and we had a recession. It was very difficult for me to find a job. But I didn't blame anybody else for my shortcoming. I actually started walking dogs for a living. And then I worked at an elementary school. And it was during this time, while working at the elementary school, that President Obama was re-elected. And it was that night that I created my Twitter account. Because I told myself, Scott, you can sit at home, you can whine, you can complain, or do something about it.
Right.
And so I did. I started volunteering. And I fell in love with it in part because I met wonderful people like you. And I felt like I was making a difference. I felt like I was affecting change in my community. Now, the listeners at home can't see that I'm wearing cowboy boots, but the reason why is because in 2014, I got my first ever political job helping to elect Governor Greg Abbott in the great state of Texas.
Yeehaw.
And then I knew how important it was because Antonin Scalia had passed away, and we had a 4-4 split on the Supreme Court of the United States. And I knew how important it was to make sure that we had a conservative leader picking that 9th Supreme Court seat. So I spent 2 years of my life helping to defeat Hillary Clinton. And I spent the last 4 years traveling the country, registering thousands of voters, training tens of thousands of volunteers, but also cleaning up our cities. Because I want the listeners to really understand that it was President Obama who inspired me on this journey of political activism. But it was ultimately President Trump that inspired me to take a deeper look at our neglected and abandoned inner cities. And the listeners at home, do you remember when he talked about Baltimore? Well, I was the guy that went into Baltimore to organize a cleanup after national attention was brought to the city. And in part, I again was disappointed because very much like President Obama inspired me because I pointed the finger back at myself saying, where were you registering voters? Where were you knocking on doors? Where were you getting out the vote? Mm-hmm. I said, why is nobody offering a solution to the problem of trash in Baltimore? So I tweeted out to my followers, I'm going. The tweet went viral. Everybody across the country, even Hawaiians, wanted to help. And then I was like, uh-oh. Because I had to fulfill this major requirement. Mm-hmm. But within 6 days, we organized a cleanup on a Monday, and with 200 volunteers, we picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours in 1 day. I went home to my mom, and I was like, Ma, I'm really good at picking up trash. And it was at that moment her heart swelled with pride. Yeah. Because her baby boy, that dog walker, he done turned into a trash collector. And moving forward, I want people to know that this new Republican Party, this is about love. And I believe that love is action. No more just empty words, no empty promises, no rhetoric. I want people, if you actually care about the environment, if you care about being an environmental steward, if you want to actually help people, then now is the opportunity to put on our boots, to put on our work gloves, to go out into the community and to do acts of love and service. And I think that is the future of the Republican Party right here in Maui, Hawaii.
I absolutely agree. Community service and getting to know the people better, hearing their voices, and seeing what is most important to them and how we can better serve them. You also made quite an impact in Florida with their voter registration. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh, I am so ready. So get this. Get this. Florida, for the first time in history of the state of Florida, has now more registered Republicans than Democrats. That's
amazing.
never happened ever. And to give you an idea of how massive this is, in 2012, when President Obama was reelected for his second term, the Democrats had a voter registration advantage of 500,000. And despite that, Mitt Romney only lost by 73,000 votes. So it just shows you that as the number of Democratic voter registrations went down, our share of the votes helping to elect President Trump with the state of Florida went up. And that's in part why I'm here in the state of Hawaii, because I want to empower people by ultimately getting them to register to vote at their current address. Because if you don't vote, guys, you don't have a voice.
Exactly. And so, Scott, how can you encourage and inspire those who have become fearful or complacent or feel that Hawaii doesn't matter, or even for those who feel it's a battle and we can't win?
Well, that's why I'm here. You know, some people, they've criticized me. Scott, why are you going to Hawaii? Go to Pennsylvania. Go to Michigan. Go to Wisconsin. Go to where it matters. I want you all to hear me loud and clear. You, Hawaiians, matter. And freedom is worth fighting for in all 50 states, despite the leadership. And more importantly, guys, if you're unhappy with how things are going here in Hawaii, then be the change that you want to see. I want you to walk away from this interview feeling empowered, like you can change the world. I was a dog walker. If I can do it, then anyone can do it. But more importantly, remember, this is a fight for freedom. And the reason why I'm doing this is I don't want to sit back and be a quiet observer. I don't want to watch the country that I love burn. I don't want to see these freedoms that are taken away from me and to be able to tell people I sat by, I stood there, I watched, I did nothing. I'm doing this because I want people to know that I'm fighting for something that I love and I'm doing it for the right reason.
Awesome. Along with voter registration, we need people to vote for. So can you elaborate not only on the importance of voter registration, but also how important it is to have people get involved, quality candidates, those to run without fear and have courage?
Yes, but I actually forgot to say something last segment. So get this. Here's why it's so important that I'm here in Hawaii and that you guys have the opportunity to create change. In the Commonwealth of Virginia, we just elected Glenn Youngkin as governor in a state that hasn't elected a Republican statewide since 2009. And get this. And Houston, Texas, one of the most liberal cities, the fourth largest school board in the entire country, they defeated just recently 2 Democratic incumbent school board members and elected anti-critical race theory and anti-mask conservative school board members. And we flipped a Senate seat in the state of Connecticut. Let's be real. Connecticut is like Hawaii. It's bluer than blue. And if they can do it there, we can do it anywhere. Sorry, remind me of the question again.
In building the confidence and getting people who really really have the concerns of the community, but they also have the fear of candidates and quality candidates. Yes.
Well, first, let's talk about what it means to be a Republican, because you can't run for office unless you really have an understanding of why you're running under that Republican Party banner. And again, I want to make this very clear. The difference, as we've seen it, especially with COVID mandates, is I believe that the Democrats, they are operating with coercion, with force, with mandates telling you what you can and cannot do, telling you what you can and cannot do on your property, how to live your lives. And Republicans, we are about liberty, freedom, and choice. We want you to make those own personal medical decisions on your own, that you, not government, get to dictate how to run your life. And if you agree with that, then you are liberty and freedom minded, and you are welcome to join us in the Republican Party. And I want to tell you why I'm working so hard, because when Republicans take the House and Senate in 2022, the first piece of legislation that I want to see introduced is a Medical Freedom and Patient Protection Act, that no American can be fired or forced into retirement for not taking the COVID-19 vaccination. And I want to make a plea to our listeners right now that if you are a firefighter, a police officer, a nurse, a doctor, a trucker, a teacher, a grocery store worker. You've been doing the jobs you've been doing for the last year and a half, despite not having a vaccination. Why all of a sudden are you forced to lose your job? Are you forced into retirement, a job that you've been doing successfully for decades, that you now may have to lose your pension because the Democrats are enforcing tyrannical, dictatorial, authoritarian mandates telling you that you're about to lose your job for not taking a COVID-19 vaccination. And this is an opportunity for the Republican Party to fight for the worker, to fight for working class America and say, no, that we are going to protect you, your job, your livelihood. And also, I believe that the future of the Republican Party is parental choice and education. Because you see, the Democrats, they want the state to be the ones in charge of your children. They want the state educating your children. And we as Republicans, we saw this in Virginia. McAuliffe, the former governor of Virginia, said that parents shouldn't have a voice in education. That does not resonate with the moms and dads and parents of America. We believe that we, not government, should be able to dictate how to educate our babies. And so if you agree with those principles of we the people being able to run our lives, not government, then you're a Republican.
Yes, I totally agree. You're such an inspirational person, and I hope that everybody can feel your passion and your drive, and I hope that they can take the time out to come to our upcoming rallies and join you. I got many questions, and especially from those Trump supporters. We have a huge Trump following here in the state of Hawaii. There are groups such as Maui for Trump, Hawaii for Trump, Wahine for Trump, and many other groups that are supporters of the 45th president. Tell us your experience with Donald Trump and how we can use that mass following that was built here to continue to make a difference in changing our state to red in 2022.
Well, I haven't met President Trump. I know. I was invited to the White House. I went to the social media summit. We did lock eyes for 2.3 seconds, but I have yet to meet the man. I know, very disappointing, but that's okay. My time will come. You know, for me, I respect Donald Trump and I respect what he's done, but we have to realize one thing, that the Republican Party didn't begin with Trump and it doesn't end with him, but I think it taught us a lesson from President Trump. Why is President Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida so popular? Because actions. They gave us results. They did what they said they were going to do. Hello, a novel idea. You had a president who said he was going to cut taxes. You had a president who said he was going to get rid of the Mexico trade agreement, which he did. You had a president who said he would move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. He did. You had a president that wanted to bring manufacturing and working class jobs to America, not giving them to China, not giving them to the rest of the world, and he did it. All we want are leaders. I want somebody that when they look me in the eye and they tell me they're going to do something, they did it. And that's why people respect Donald Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis.
Awesome. Thank you. I know that there are a lot of people on both sides and they're just questioning where our world is headed at right now. And I think this is a huge opportunity for not just Democrats and Republicans. I think it's a time for unification. How can we do that? How can we encourage unification for the common goal of protecting our freedom, our liberties, our Constitution, and our country?
Well, it's difficult to unite with people who want to force you to live a certain way, to their standards, their rules, their mandates. That's very difficult. However, we can be in the position where we try to get people over to our side and tell them about how we are fighting for the worker. We're fighting for the family. We're fighting for moms and dads. We're fighting for veterans. We're fighting to put the American people first. We're fighting to boycott, divest, and sanction China. We're fighting for the Constitution, our gun rights, our right to religious services, which have been shut down because of things like COVID mandates. And so we need to be in persuasion mode. Now, again, it's going to be difficult to unite with some people that, you know, the person who's looking at Joe Biden, who left Americans behind in Afghanistan, who gave billions of dollars to the Taliban, who, because of him nixing the Keystone Pipeline, we now have surging gas prices, inflation, food prices are rising, the cost of lumber. Imagine building a house right now. There are people that think that Joe Biden is doing a good job, and unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult to unite with those people. But at the end of the day, we can show them that we are American first. And you know what that means? It means that even despite knowing the Californians and some of the residents of Maryland who agree with President Joe Biden, that we need to let them know that although we disagree with them, you are my brother, you are my sister, and despite you fighting for the very policies that are hurting my life, I'm still going to fight for your constitutional rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's how we unite. At the end of the day, we're American citizens.
Exactly. I believe we're one race, the human race, and we should learn how to make our world better somehow, some way. So how do we reignite those who have basically given up because they feel that our representatives that are in office ignore the voices of the people and feel that our current politicians who are in position on both sides of the aisle are more self-serving than the people serving, and either have forgotten or choose to ignore that they are supposed to represent the people and what's in the best interest of the people? How can we inspire and motivate people who have given up? How do we hold our representatives accountable when they don't hear the voices of the people?
Okay, girlfriend, that was like 10 questions at once.
I know.
Hold on, girlfriend. Okay, so... You know, the best way to lead is by example. And I will never ask a volunteer to do something that I myself wouldn't do. That's why I'm at the cleanups. That's why I'm registering voters. That's why I'm knocking on doors. That's why I'm holding our elected officials accountable by asking them questions like, will you vote for the Keystone Pipeline? Will you support a digital Bill of Rights to make sure that our voices, not only orally or written, but also in the digital space, are going to be protected? That's a First Amendment right in the digital space, in the digital world that we live in. And will they support a Medical Freedom and Patient Protection Act? And so we have to lead by example. And I believe that's what we're doing. We can't get everybody, and not everybody is going to be crackable, but we can show them that we are out there registering voters, that we are voting in primaries, because ultimately, guys, you have to understand, the person in the general election, you have an opportunity to vote in the primary to make sure that we have the most constitutional, conservative option. But if you don't vote in a primary, you are limiting your voice. You're giving away your power to another person that does vote in the primary. So if you really want to make sure that we have the best, most conservative candidates, then I would mark on your calendar the primary for the state of Hawaii for 2022 and make sure that you are participating in that election to make sure that we have candidates worth voting for. But if you aren't a part of the process, then you can't be a part of the solution.
Exactly. Be part of the solution. Otherwise, the problem becomes the solution. That's been my motto. What are some additional words of advice? We do have several people who want to get involved, but how do we get them past that fear?
They have to make their own personal decision. I'm sorry. You know, it's going to come down to, look, are you willing to give up everything because you chose not to fight? Are you willing to give up every single freedom that you love because you did nothing? You sat back, you watched, you were quiet. As other people, here's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. I respect the heck out of Democrats because they work harder than we do. They want it more. Despite Hillary Clinton losing the election in 2016, they didn't cry about it. They didn't whine about it. You know what they did? They changed the law. They implemented ballot harvesting in the state of California. They did it legally. They did it democratically using federalism and states' rights and state autonomy. You have to be the change you want to see. I can't force people to want to make the world a better place, but I can lead by example, and I can lead with love. And I know that the listener at home, you can feel my passion, and I hope that you are inspired by this. No matter, I don't even care if you're a Democrat. I just want people to take action. I just want people to do something. I just want people to care.
Yep. And what are some of the things that you can share that people can expect on January 31st at the rally?
Oh, I was like, wait, what's happening? I was like, wait a second, what rally? Well, this is a freedom rally. And you know what you can expect? You can expect probably people are going to bring the fur animals. I can see it right now. This is a very dog-friendly, animal-friendly state of Hawaii. I'm sure there will be some fur babies there. So if you love four-legged animals, then come join our freedom rally. You're going to find people that are smiling, that are happy, that are loving life, that are rallying for freedom in support of our Constitution. And more importantly, remember, we're fighting for you. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the next generation of leadership, that I am privileged that I have the opportunity right now to speak before all of you. I'm fighting for freedom so that other people can have the same opportunity that I have. My dad is a retired Navy captain, and his father was a retired Navy captain. And although I have not served in our military, I feel like I'm serving in a different capacity. And any of you out there, realize that you are also called to serve in your own way. So join us at this rally. It's going to be super fun. I mean, come on. You're going to see all these people on a busy street corner, and every time there's a honk, we're all going to woo at them. So it's going to be a blast. But I wanted to tell a couple stories about how the work that I've done impacts lives. I was in Houston, Texas, and I'll never forget it. This woman comes up to me. Her name is Guru Karta, and I believe she's of the Sikh faith. And she came up to me and handed me a book that had to do with the Navy. She wanted me to give it to my father, which I did, Guru. And she said, you know, Scott, I'm a cancer survivor, and after I would take my cancer treatments, I would watch your videos to feel better.
Wow.
And it's moments like that despite the hardship, despite the tumultuous nature of politics and being personally attacked, that it's moments like that that keep me going, because I know that the work that we're doing is making a difference. Or when Tina runs for office in Ohio, and she wins her school board seat in part because she was inspired to run because of me. And because of her running and winning that seat, we have flipped that school board to conservative. It's moments like that when you at home, you can make a difference.
That's amazing. I know that I feel rejuvenated and keep going. You know, sometimes when you take a beating, you kind of go, what am I doing? But there's always something that pops up, and we're super grateful that you're here to spark the fire here in Hawaii. And I do want to make a correction. I think I said January 31st, but our rally is December 31st. I'm getting ahead.
December 31st.
Yes, at 3 p.m. in front of Home Depot. And we also want to encourage everybody to join us on December 31st, 6:30, for our New Year's Eve party. And if you're interested in joining and schmoozing and mingling and doing a toast with Scott Presler, you can find the tickets on MauiCountyGOP.com. There's a link right on there where you can go and get tickets to on Eventbrite, and listening to us, use the code MAUI, MAUI, and you can receive a discount to this special event. So, well, we're getting ready to wrap up here. I'm really appreciative to Scott for being here. Did you have one last word?
But wait, we didn't even talk about why else I'm here. Guys, we didn't even talk about the trainings. I want to make it clear. I'm not just here to talk about voter registration. I'm just talk about the future of the Republican Party. We are here to train people how to run for office. And don't just think about congressional. Don't just think about presidential. Guys, run for office for school board, for city council, for mayor, for state rep, for state senate. Because if nobody runs as a Republican, then we don't have an option. So I'm asking you at home that's listening right now, yes, run for school board. Do it.
Run, yes. And we even need people to get involved with the Maui County GOP so that we can affect our grassroots. So we need to join and encourage each other to unify, to save our freedoms and save our country, to save our Constitution and make America great again. I also want to thank all of you for listening, and I ask for your continued support. Join us New Year's Eve, again, for a great year in celebrations. And again, the website is MauiCountyGOP.com. Joining with Scott Presler, we will also have Dr. Armstrong, who will be zooming in. We have Joe Akana, who will be attending. And as well as Nurse Kopitsag and the National Committee woman, Laura Nakanelua. We'll have live music with the Ohana Band. There'll be food, fun with a Paniolo theme. So, Also, let me put a shout out that we will have a rally in front of the Cannery Mall in Lahaina on Tuesday, January 4th at 4:30, followed by a special presentation of candidate training by Scott himself at the Lahaina CrossFit at 6:30. Then look out, Big Island. Scott's coming over on January 5th. And you can definitely check out, again, our website, MauiCountyGOP.com. Feel free to email me as well, MauiCountyChair@gmail.com, on how you can get more involved or ask any more questions that you may have on any topics that you would like for us to address in the future. Mahalo, and thank you for tuning in. And thank you again, Scott Presler, for joining us and being here in Hawaii.
Aloha.